inside of you.
Hi guys, it's Elena and I'm Enchanted MA here on my channel. Hello and welcome to lesson number 9, the last official lesson of this chapter. Woohoo! You made it this far! And if this is the first video which you have encountered, these are part of a series and I suggest you start off with the first one. I will link them up at the top or down in the description just to help better guide you along the way. As the title of this lesson suggests, I think it's down at the bottom or up at the top, whichever device you're using, I'm going to be going over some rules and guidelines for magic. In science, there's a rule which states that energy cannot be created or destroyed. And with magical workings, it's the same. We cannot just snap our fingers and expect something to come out of thin air, although that would be very nice. We need to almost as though to collect or gather up energies for spell work or other workings. This is one of the reasons why we use various ingredients which contain properties and associations that will help our goals along the way. We can draw this energy from the sun, the moon, from various crystals, herbs, the elements, water, fire, earth, air, from the nature around us, or from others, with permission of course. We can also draw this energy from ourselves, from within, although there is a very limited surplus to how much we can use at a time, and how much our bodies can handle. But many magical workings can be done with just your own energies. There also aren't many barriers as to where we can draw this energy from. It's just that some places are a lot easier than others, which make them more commonly known, such as crystals, herbs, sun, moon, and such. These are fairly easy to tap into and respond well to most people. There are also more complex generators of power, so to speak, which are a little bit less common to use because they're a bit harder to tap into and harder to kind of draw from, like planets, seasons, various vibrations, or even other entities. Again, with permission, of course. I'll be going over energy manipulation a little bit more in depth at a future chapter. Magic also requires balance and has consequences if you don't appease that balance. For every action, there is an opposite and equal reaction. A little bit more science terminology for you. Think back to a previous video where I shared an example with a coworker. That person wanted something to happen, they did a spell, and it impacted another individual in a negative way. The caster might not have intended for the end result to get the coworker fired, but their spell wasn't worded properly and their action had a consequence. This might be the notion where karma or the threefold law came from. I don't necessarily believe in these descriptions particularly, but I do believe that magic has consequences and it requires a balance. For some spells and castings, it might be very simple. For instance, manifestation or intentions. These spells are usually over a long period of time, and throughout this time things kind of fall in line and align well enough that there's not really much of a consequence or a balance that needs to be seeked out of. It just kind of happens and works out on its own. Healing spells, on the other hand, are trickier. You need to provide another outlet for that pain or the sickness, the illness to kind of go to. And if done improperly, at best, nothing were to happen. At worst, things could get really bad. This type of work combines kind of all of the rules in a confusing jumble with a wild type of variation. And then even more complex spells require more complex balancing. And when you get into these more complex situations, we might not even know what the balance needs or what the situation calls for in order for everything to balance out. And then at that point we need to shift our focus to more of a damage control type of situation. And this is why it's very, very, very important to protect yourself, to know how to protect yourself, and to not tether these magics and workings just to your own self. You don't really want to be dealing with spell blowbacks on your own energies. I'll make sure to go over this type of balancing rule a lot more in depth once we start to dabble in things more interesting. Wink wink. And this is also why mastering basics first is necessary. Magic also needs to be precise. Remember in one of our starting videos, we've talked about creating a map through visualization for the magic to flow? This is kind of along the same lines. In order to achieve the most success, you need to be as clear and direct as possible. No maybes or wishy-washy ideas or half-finished thoughts. The more clear and precise you are during your spell work, the more accurate your results will be. For example, you can't really do a spell and say, make me cool. Your meaning for that might be becoming more popular or more charismatic. But if you say your spell that way and then a month later, nothing really happens, but you've been feeling really cold lately, that cooling spell you just did work, just not in the way you intended it to. This is partly why traditional witchcraft has very long and detailed spells and very long and precise rituals, all towards being more precise and more direct and intent with your energies, or the energies you're working with. This is also why a lot of spells require various ingredients. It's to help solidify your intention while aligning it with things that will reflect your needs. I hope all of this is making sense. Magic can also be very finicky to work with and kind of have a mind of its own. Even if you think that you've done everything right, you could still get unexpected results, because there are lots and lots of variables out and about at play that you have no control over. One factor is that magic is not guaranteed. Your spell to work is not guaranteed. We're just doing our best to align, gather, direct, and manipulate all of these energies to attain the result we want. There are other factors which are at play. Maybe you have an ancestor or a spirit guide or a deity or something else that's alongside you and trying to look out for your best interest. And whoever that may be decided that what you're trying to do may not be something that is healthy for you, will impact you in a positive way, or will provide any good results for you. And they could have stopped or redirected whatever you're trying to do, and whatever you were trying to do didn't work. And sometimes there's just no answer as to why things didn't happen the way you intended them to. Magic isn't exact, which is why it's called a practice. Everyone who is dabbling in this art is always and constantly learning and obtaining new knowledge, and there is so much more to discover. So these are the basic rules for when you're going along your witchy journey. There are definitely finer details when it comes to particular types of magic, but we'll cover those finer details when we get closer to those chapters. So there you have it! The first chapter and introductory lectures of the basics is done! Woohoo! I applaud you if you've gone through all the videos. Give yourself a high five, pat on the back, and no matter what, you are awesome. Your homework for this video is a little bit more of something to just ponder on. You can jot things down in your journal about it, but it's more of something to start thinking about. I believe that every individual has someone to help guide them and protect them. Be it an ancestor, an entity, a deity, or anyone else. Do you think you have sensed yours? Or maybe even met yours? maybe in a dream or during some kind of enlightenment. And if you have met yours, have you tried to establish a form of communication? I'll definitely have more videos on these in the future, but I just wanted to have you start to bring your awareness towards noticing all these synchronicities and coincidences around you. As always, you can share your thoughts or experiences down in the comments or in the Google Classroom. And that should be it for this video. On the next chapter, we are going to cover various forms of cleansing and purifying your area. And I'll see you all on the next video. Hopefully you guys have a wonderfully blessed day, night, wherever you are. And I'll see you later. Bye!